Hey everyone, it's me Catherine, and today I'm here to bring you my July wrap up. And I know it's like halfway through July already, but honestly, like last week of July, these first couple of weeks in August, I have been so like drained and exhausted, and then we've had a heat wave which has not helped at all. I am melting and the heat has just like sapped what little energy I had left. But today I'm finally here to bring you my July wrap up, and I'm excited to talk about it because I did quite a bit in July, and it probably explains why I'm so exhausted. Because I did take part in the reading rush. I only did like the reading challenges, and I did film a vlog, but like the vlog is like an hour long. Like all the footage combined is like over an hour, and I just didn't have the energy to edit it together, and I don't know if I ever will. Because to be honest, it's been a while now, and I think it's pretty much died down, everything that happened, but I feel like since I did take part in the reading rush, I don't, like, I'm disappointed, and it's not even, like, me that's really been affected by Ariel and Raylene's, like, lack of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, like, I can't, but like there's loads of people who've said it like so much better than me. So yeah, so I did take part in the reading rush. You'll see what I managed to read. So as always, with these wrap-ups, I will start with what I didn't manage to get finished. The idea behind talking about things that I haven't finished is it will either be a little like preview of what's to come in next month's wrap-up, or it's just a chance for me to mention it, to say that, hey, I was doing this thing before it vanishes and I forget completely about it and we never see it again. So I'll start off with, like, the usual, still playing Animal Crossing. I'm not playing it as frequently as I was. Like, I have gone, like, a few days, it is, like, a few days between each play now, because I sort of got to the point where I felt like it was taking over my life, and it wasn't fun anymore. It's sort of like that thing, I don't know how many of you will be on Duolingo, but I do use Duolingo, and that streak, that wanting to keep that streak going at first is a good motivator, but at some point, once you get so high, it gets to a point where it just sort of, rather than becoming a motivation, it's sort of like a chain binding you to it, and then it becomes less fun. And I sort of was feeling that with Animal Crossing, because I wanted to keep my streak going with the Nook Miles, even though I wasn't even using the Nook Miles for anything, and I wanted to make sure I went to the shop every day, and it was just getting to the point where it wasn't enjoyable for me, and I hated that. So it's now going days in between, but that's that. Also, because July seems like ages ago, like I completely forgot I did any of this. I've been carried on watching D Grey Man last month, getting through the rest of season 3 and onto season 4. I haven't finished season 4 yet, but we're just getting up to like the big thing that happens before the anime ended originally, and then I can get onto the few episodes of Hollow that were released, because I haven't seen any of those, because that was like done a few years ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but I never got around to actually watching it, so that will be good. Also, been playing Dragon Age Inquisition again, which, if you've followed me for a few years now, I did talk about Inquisition. In fact, I think I started this channel the year Inquisition came out. Was it 2014? I'm pretty sure 2014. And that video is, I think it's private now, I'm pretty sure you cannot watch that video now, but in one of like my earlier wrap-ups I did talk about like the reason that I hadn't been reading so much was because I got sucked into Dragon Age Inquisition. Then this came out, and then a couple of years later I got sucked back into Inquisition with all the DLC, because I then upgraded from the Xbox 360 to an Xbox One and got caught up on the DLC and stuff and got hooked into that again. And I even did a video on that, which should still be live. I have a lot of feelings that I just need to talk about. So recently I took my Soul Last Romance Inquisitor through the Trespass DLC. Because I think it was like a birthday thing I did. Like I was like, you know what, it's my birthday, I'm going to film whatever the fuck I want, rather than just being videos, rather than it just being books. And so I decided, because I then got the Xbox One, I started playing on Xbox One, and I did transfer some of the saves over, but I've got one I think I've just got one left on the 360 that's unfinished that I didn't bother transferring over. And because my 360 is upstairs, it's nice to play while I'm in bed. So I started playing through that. And also last month, I started streaming on Twitch. Like, I'm still pretty new at it because I've only been doing it for like a couple of weeks. But I picked Dragon Age as the first game to stream because I know it so well. So it wouldn't take a lot of concentration. So it wouldn't matter if I like messed up, because I don't think I can mess up because I know Dragon Age so well. I know Inquisition so well. So that's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'll need to remember to put my Twitch link in the description with all my social media if you wanted to check that out, if that's something you're interested in. So yeah, that's the thing I've also been doing. Also, Ghost of Tsushima came out beginning of last month, midway through last month, and I've been playing that. I've been playing it with the Japanese dub, which has been interesting because it's very clear that they recorded the Japanese simply for this dub, because there's no syncing with the lips, and I'm pretty sure, like, because I've got the subtitles on because I'm not good enough at Japanese, I'm not good enough at Japanese to be able to play it without that, but I've got the subtitles on. But from what I can tell, the subtitles are the captions for the English language version of the game. I mean, it doesn't matter because the meaning still gets across, but there's like just a couple of things I'm like, oh, that, like localization, you know what, I'm not an advocate for literal translations over localization. There's localization and then there's just not even, so I'm pretty sure it's not a direct translation. It's just from the English caption, which is fine. I was like, say it's fine. It's just the little things like, and with the lips not syncing up, it's kind of, I just have to not look at their faces when we're in like cutscenes. So that's that. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. Also, the voice actor for Jin, the main character, is the voice actor for Zoro in One Piece, which I wasn't expecting. And as soon as I heard that, because I'd heard about the sync issues between the dub and the mouth move, the facial animations, as soon as I heard Zoro's voice come out of Jin's mouth, I'm like, well, I'm not switching back now. Absolutely not switching back now. I don't care how good the actual English voice acting is. This is, it's Zoro. But overall, really enjoy it. If you don't know what it's about, it's set in, it's something like late, I can't remember if it's early or late 13th century Japan. It's it takes part during like the Mongol invasion, when the Mongols came over to Tsushima, and we're following Jin, who is like one of the last remaining samurai on Tsushima after the Mongols just wiped them out, and it's him sort of having to bend his samurai ways, I guess, adapting to be able to take on the Mongols, and it's a lot of fun. I can't speak as to the accuracy because despite my interest in Japan, my knowledge of like samurai and stuff is like very limited, and it's something I've been meaning to like rectify, like get back into it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So, but overall, a lot of fun. And then the last thing that I'm in the middle of, I've got like an episode left, but is a Korean drama called Her Private Life, which stars Kim Jae-hyuk, like one of my favourites, and also Park Min-young, who is also one of my absolute favourites. I love them both so much, and this drama it's about, in fact, you know what? I'm nearly finished. This is absolutely going to be in my August wrap up. So I'm just going to say it's really good. I'm really enjoying it and I cannot wait to talk about it in my August wrap up. Okay, so then on to things that I finished. So in July, I took part in 2 readathons. The Reading Rush and also the Fuckathon, which was hosted by Noria from Noria Reads. I will link her channel and stuff in the description for you to check out because she's great. She has so much passion for books and reading, and I love watching her talk about them. So if you're not subscribed already, like, go check her out because she's so good. And her cat, what's he called? I can't remember if it's Kong Pop or Kong Bob. I can't remember, but her cat is like such a little shit. He loves her hair so much and he's constantly on the shelves behind, and it's so good. Even if you just go for the cat, it's amazing. But Noria is great, honestly. You will love her. Sadly, I did not win, I guess. I didn't complete what I wanted to, because the idea is you have a bingo card and you have to make an F. and I will, if I remember, editing me, this is a job for you, to put like what I managed to get done. Like I'll put a clip of what I actually did, but I did not manage to make an F, no matter how I like configured it. And then obviously there was the reading rush. So what I managed to get read for the Fuckathon was I've Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella. This was for the Fuck Book Elitism prompt, which basically just read like a really trashy book, a book that's not considered very highbrow, and this is considered chick lit, which is a term I hate anyway, but also it's not considered like proper or anything. But I really enjoyed this. I read this in one sitting, in a day. Well, I'll say one sitting. I did get up to eat and stuff, so I read this in a day. It was so much fun. And like at the beginning, like because of what it's about a woman who has lost her engagement ring, this very expensive family heirloom engagement ring, and then her phone gets stolen, and she finds this phone in a bin, and finders keepers, right? And so she uses that so people can get in touch with her if they find her wedding ring. But it turns out this phone actually belongs to a company, and then she gets roped into helping this guy out while he looks for another PR, because that's whose phone it was. And it sort of goes from there. And like, well, it is a bit like she definitely, Poppy's her name, right? Yeah, Poppy. And she definitely, there's definitely some invasion of privacy in here, like it's bad. But overall, like the romance and stuff and her getting to know Sam is the guy's name on the other end of the phone is good. It's a good time. I love Sophie Kinsella. Every book I've read of Sophie Kinsella so far, I've really enjoyed. They've made me feel so warm and fuzzy inside, and also a bit lonely, but I enjoyed it very much. So I managed to get that done for the Fuckathon. I also finally got around to reading The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which obviously needs no introduction, but in case you don't know what The Hate You Give is about, it was inspired by the Black Lives Movement a few years ago, and it follows Star, who is the only witness to the shooting of her best friend, the murder of her best friend by a cop, and it's her sort of living through that and learning to find her voice and speak out and use her voice to help and stuff, and also dealing with her life at she's at like a really like nice school which is predominantly filled with white kids. And it's sort of her like navigating her life there at this predominantly white school and her life at a predominantly black neighbourhood, and it's good. It's good. I didn't always meld with like the writing style of Angie's writing style. It didn't always click with me, but like the emotions were there, and for me that's important. The attachment to the characters was there, and for me that's really important. So like if you haven't picked this up, highly recommend it. But it is quite hard hitting, so maybe just like make sure you're in like the proper mindset for, you know what, I will find somebody else's review that is more helpful and I will link that, so go check that out. Editing me, do not forget to do that, okay? And then the last book I managed to get read for the Fuckathon was The Weight of the Stars by Kay Ancrum. Now I started this a couple of years ago, I think, when I was looking for like some good, I can't remember what specifically, like I don't know if I was looking for bi or if I was just looking for like specifically sapphic romances, and this was one of the recommendeds, and this is sort of like a sci-fi. It's set in sort of like the near future. I think it's not too far in the future, but I think it's definitely in the future. Space travel is a thing that has happened, and we're following I've forgotten her bloody name and I don't have the book with me. Catherine's forgotten her name. Funny that. We're following this character, this teen, who is living in a trailer park with her brother and her brother's kid, and they still go to school and stuff. And she has been tasked with befriending this new girl. Well, not sort of befriending, but sort of like helping her settle, because that's sort of what she does. She sort of like takes these people, these not outsiders, but the ones that don't quite fit in with everybody else, or maybe don't want to fit in with everyone else. She sort of takes them and collects them, I guess, befriends them, and she befriends this girl who whose mother was part of a program to go up into space, and she's basically, they sort of like get to know each other and eventually like fall in love and stuff. And I don't count that as a spoiler because that's literally what I went into this knowing was going to happen, what I went into this hoping was going to happen. And it was good. I enjoyed it, but it was written in, it's sort of like snippets of days like pushed together to make one big whole picture of what's going on. And while that made it really easy to like put down at night, it also, I don't know, it sort of like was a bit all over the place, and for me it didn't gel together as well as I'd hoped. Overall, I did really enjoy it, like I loved it so much, and I would definitely recommend reading it, and I will definitely pick up anything else that Kate Ancrum has written. But yeah, just sort of the way it was written just didn't quite click with me, but like I got what I wanted out of it, more or less got what I wanted out of it. It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And that's all the books I managed to read for the Fookathon, which I'm a bit disappointed in. But I think if I hadn't taken part in the reading rush, I shouldn't have done the reading rush, because the reading rush like exhausted me. It drained me physically, which meant like that last week in July I just couldn't do anything. I didn't read anything. I barely did anything because it just. So then on to the reading rush. I had 7 books on my reading rush TBR and I read them all. I mean, I think honestly the exhaustion is sort of down to me. I decided that I wanted to read 7 books, and I made the decision to basically read almost a book a day. And it was hard, but also a lot of fun actually. You know, I'm not going to say that it was all bad. Like, I did have a lot of fun reading, and it proved to me that I can still read a lot if I put my mind to it. So the first book I read and finished for the reading rush was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first in a new adult. I hesitate to put adult on it. I mean, it's set, I mean, it is, like, I think they're in the 20s, so I guess it is sort of adult, but it's still quite on the younger end. And even though the topic, even though the content of this is quite dark, it's quite a bit grim, I wouldn't say it was anything that, like, someone in their late teens wouldn't be able to get through. So it's definitely maybe just, like, older end YA. I don't know if there's, like, because, like, new adult is sort of, like, associated with steamy romances, and this isn't what this is at all. But overall, I did enjoy this. I did like it, but I felt a bit, I don't want to say manipulated, but it's told from 2 timelines. We have the present, following Alex, who has been left alone to sort of deal with the magic societies. I don't know the word for them really. Magical societies of this university. That's basically why she's there. She's been enlisted because she can see ghosts, dead. She sees dead people. And that's really helpful because magic draws the ghosts, and she needs to like be there to be able to keep them at bay. So we're following Alex as she's sort of like trying to unravel this mystery, this stuff, whatever's happened, find out what's actually happened, and while also delving into her own past and her background and how she got to where she is, and uncovering some of her own like past traumas and stuff. And then we have Darlington, his is set in okay, it doesn't actually mention Darlington in the synopsis, so I will keep this like as spoiler-free as possible. So then we have Darlington, his perspective told from the past of Alex joining up, I guess, and him teaching Alex the ways of the way that these societies and stuff work. And it was his perspective that I feel manipulated me in a way, and I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. Like, I get that obviously the authors want you to feel a certain way, so they will do what they can to make you feel that way, but it has to feel natural, and it didn't. I can't explain it any other way. Like, it didn't feel right to me. I felt sort of mad, a bit like I did at the end of King of Scars, to be perfectly honest, and I didn't enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed the setting. I like a good university setting. I enjoyed the this magic and this whole like sort of world and how it works. Like I enjoyed that. I am definitely interested enough to pick up the next one, but I don't know, it just something like I don't know what's like. I'm enjoying these books, but they're just not clicking with me. And I love Leigh Bardugo, but just left a bit of a bad taste, but a bit of a bad aftertaste. Overall, I did quite enjoy it. Then we have Prefecture D by Hideo Yokoyama, which is a collection of four short stories, not 3 as I originally believed. I don't know why I thought it was 3, because there's quite clearly 4 titles on there, so I don't know what I was thinking. But this is sort of set in the same world as the as Sixth Fall, which is a book I read also by Hideo Yokoyama, obviously. I read that like a few years ago now, and I quite enjoyed it. Like it's sort of like a crime, and it's set in a police station, but it's following I think he's like the head of the press section of the police, and it's sort of like, rather than it being about the actual crime as such, it's more about like the inner workings and the politics inside the police station and the police force, and I enjoyed that. And this is sort of like more of the same, but in 4 short stories instead. What I will say about all these stories though, even the one that follows the lady police officer, is that it's like the sexism in this, like it's just like, it's like in the very first story, the very first one, the main character of the first story, he's about to leave the office when the lady police officer that works there comes in with drinks for everybody. And when he comes back later, he sort of sees her at a desk and sees the coffee set on his desk, and he's like, you know what, she'll go far. And it's like, and I get this, it's Japanese and it's set, when was this written? It was written a while ago, I think. Like, it's definitely older. First published in 1998, and the thing in Japan is like, when women work at companies and stuff like that, they're the ones that make the drinks, they're the ones that fetch all the drinks, and that's seen as a good thing. And it's like, and it's just sort of like bits like that just made me mad. But overall, looking past that, I did enjoy these. And then I read Pax by Sarah Pennypacker. This is about a boy and his fox. A war is about to break out, is breaking out. I think the war is happening. And the dad has gone to join the war efforts, and because it's only the boy and his dad, he sends the boy off to live with his grandfather, but the fox that they've had as a pet can't go with them, unfortunately, so he lets him go. And honestly, the start of this is like a real kick in the teeth. You know that moment in The Fox and the Hound where she has to leave Todd, she leaves him in the woods? It's sort of like that moment, except it's right at the beginning of the story, and then the boy realises that, you know what, he shouldn't have left the fox behind. So he goes in search of his fox, and the fox is trying to find his way back to his boy. And it's told from both the perspectives of the boy and the fox and their journey. And it was just like, and it ends with it just left a real ache. But I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I finally got around to reading it. Then we have Geekerella by Ashley Poston. And this is like a Cinderella retelling, but for fandoms. So we follow 2 perspectives. We follow Elle, who is, I think basically she's a big fan of this sci-fi TV series that she grew up watching with her dad. Her dad and her mum were both big fans, and both like sort of like went to events and stuff and cosplayed, and they took her with her, and she was like a big fan, and she had a blog talking about that series. I've already forgotten the name of it, Starfield, and it's getting a reboot, and she's not happy with the cast of the main, the person they cast for the main character, and she writes a blog post about it, and actually it gets her a lot of views and stuff, and that gives her blog more attention. And the lead actor happens to also see that blog post that she wrote about how he wasn't good enough, because she believes that he's not a fan, he's just doing it for like the fame, for the money, when actually Darian is actually a real big fan of Starfield, and is actually really nervous about being cast as this captain Federation Prince, I do apologise. So it's sort of like following those two as they are going through this, and there's this big event at ExcelsiCon, which her dad made this con, and there's a cosplay contest. He's going to be a judge on it, and it's just sort of like, it's basically Cinderella, but like instead of a ball, it's ExcelsiCon and a cosplay party, and I enjoyed it. Like, it was a lot of fun. It was really cute, really sweet, and sort of everything I was expecting from it. So it was, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it took me way too long to realise that the pumpkin truck, the vegan treats food truck that she works at with her friend, was the magic pumpkin. Like, it did not connect at all, because I'm an idiot. Then we have The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly, which I've had for 5 years going on this September. Or was it October? No, it's definitely September. And I finally read it. And you know what? It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was good. A bit darker, I think, than I expected it to be. But overall, I enjoyed it. It's about a young boy whose mother dies, and he starts to hear voices in the books. The books start talking to him. And when his dad remarries and he gets a baby brother, like, his life sort of starts to fall apart a bit, and then he finds himself in this sort of mystical, magical world, trying to find his mother, whom he's convinced he heard calling out to him. And I guess it's about a boy dealing with grief, dealing with his anger, and not really knowing what to do with it because he's just a kid. And I enjoyed it a lot. I liked it a lot. It was good. Dark, definitely dark, but good. And that's all I have to say about that. Then we have Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. I saw the film first. I saw the film a while ago, and did not connect that these two were the same thing when I bought this book, until I started reading it, and I was like, hang on, this seems really familiar. And then I looked it up, and it turns out, yes, it is the film that's starring, oh god, who was in it? I can't remember I remember Colin Firth is in it, but I can't remember the lady lead. It's Nicole Kidman. I wanted to say Nicole Kidman, but I wasn't 100%, but it's starring Nicole Kidman and Colin Firth and some other people who I'm sure are very nice and lovely, but they're like the main two characters. And it's about a woman who is suffering from amnesia, and when she wakes up, she has forgotten pretty much everything from the day before. She can't hold on to those memories, and she wakes up believing she's different ages. Like, she can only remember, in fact, there's not a lot she remembers at all, and there's no guarantee when she wakes up what part of her life she's going to be able to remember. And she's been keeping a diary, been keeping a journal to sort of help her, if not hold on to these memories, to like, so she's not like set back to zero every time she wakes up. She has something to go back to and think, oh, this is this and this is this, and to hopefully help her keep a hold of those memories. And having seen the film, I already knew the twist, so I knew it was coming, but I still really enjoyed reading it. Like, it wasn't amazingly mind-blowing, and I think even if I hadn't watched the film, I think I still would have seen it. But to be honest, it's not always the point, is it? Like, guessing the outcome isn't always a bad thing, because it just means sometimes that the author's just laid the clues down well enough for you to see it coming, so that when it does happen, you're like, I knew it, and you sort of feel a sense of, yes, I got it. And yeah, but it definitely wasn't not something mind-blowing, but still I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was okay, it was cool. And then the last book I read, it was Butterfly Burning by Yvonne Vera, and this was probably the oldest book on my TBR pile, the one I've had for the longest. And I mean, it's less than 150 pages, or is it 150 exactly? It's 151, well, 150 and a bit. And I just never got through it. It's set in Makokoba, a black township of Bulawayo in the late 1940s. And we're following Fefalafi and Fumbatha, who meet. He's a lot older than she is, but they meet and they fall in love. And but the thing is, Fefalafi, this town it's not quite enough for her. She wants more, and we're sort of following her and this town as it's it's hard to explain because that's what it's about, but it's also not what it's about, because we will also see snippets of like other people living there and how they're getting by day to day and what it's like living there. But Yvonne Vera's writing is very poetic, very flowery, and I find it really hard to read that sort of writing, so it took me a lot longer to get through this than it would have done had it been written very more straightforwardly. I'm a very straightforward person, so my brain's not wired for this kind of writing, but she knows how to set the scene, she knows how to rip your heart out of your chest. Apparently this is the only Yvonne Vera book I've ever read, but like, despite how much of a headache it was giving me getting through this, I still felt for these characters, and for me that's important. I still felt for the characters. Fefalafi, my child, my precious, precious child. This book left a real ache in my chest, like my heart. I hate that this was the last book I read, because it just left me feeling a bit hollow, if I'm being perfectly honest. Then the last thing that I finished was a drama, which is Because This Is My First Life, starring people I know with the names I have forgotten. It's a Korean drama, and it follows two characters who end up living together out of necessity. They basically become housemates out of like necessity, and then they get married out of like a marriage of convenience, and it's sort of following them and the romance that it becomes. And it's this drama made me cry so many times, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I don't know if like it necessarily wrapped up how I wanted it to. Like the last episode, I definitely had some problems with it, but overall this was so good. This was so good because I was not only invested in the main relationship, but I was also invested in the relationships because she's got two friends, and I was also invested in their lives and their relationships and their, you know, romantic endeavours and whatnot, and it was really good. Like, really good. I'm so glad I watched it. I don't even know what made me watch it. I can't remember what mood I was in, because the main actors are not two of my favourites, and that's usually what like gets me. So I'm not sure what pulled me into this drama, but I'm glad I watched it. I'm really glad I watched it. It was really good, so good. Definitely would recommend, but definitely made me cry a lot. But that doesn't take much these days, if I'm perfectly honest. Like, I cry at almost anything these days, so that doesn't really say anything about the drama. I think that just says more about me. But I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for a drama, like a real emotional one that you can get like emotionally invested in, definitely, because This Is My First Life. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, like the last episode, maybe it was the last two, I can't quite remember. It like definitely not the best out of all of them, but it was good. So that is it for everything in July. So that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments like how your July reading month went, if you read anything, what your favourite book is that you managed to read, your least favourite maybe. Come talk to me, come rant to me. If you've got nothing to say, if you don't know what to say, if you're not good at saying, just leave me a little emoji in the comments. Is there a sleepy one? Or maybe, no, not the sun. Give me snowmen. Like, give me all the snow. Snow. So much snow. Because it's so hot and I wish it was snowing right now. But yeah, so that's going to be it from me. Like I said, thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in another video. Bye!